24 hours, Emma Walsh would be standing in front of Alex Chen's entire family, pretending to be madly in love with a guy she had just met. But she had no idea that was coming. Right now, all she knew was that the most gorgeous guy in the library was butchering calculus so badly it was physically painful to watch. And she was about to do something completely out of character that would change everything. What is the worst that could happen? She would think to herself later that day, agreeing to the most ridiculous request of her life. But first, it all started with a frustrated groan and a terrible math equation. Emma Walsh had always believed that numbers made sense in a way people never did. Sitting in the back corner of the university library at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, surrounded by towers of calculus textbooks and crumpled energy bar wrappers, she felt perfectly in her element. The soft afternoon light filtered through the tall windows, casting gentle shadows across her meticulously organized notes. She adjusted her oversized cardigan and tucked a strand of honey-brown hair behind her ear, completely absorbed in solving a particularly challenging math equation. The library was her sanctuary, quiet, predictable, and blissfully free of the social dynamics that made her stomach twist into anxious knots. "This is where I belong," she thought contentedly, her pencil moving with practiced precision across the page. No awkward small talk, no wondering if people think I am weird, just beautiful, logical mathematics. The peaceful silence was suddenly shattered by a frustrated groan from somewhere behind her. "Are you freaking kidding me right now?" Emma's pencil skittered across her paper, leaving an ugly graphite streak through her perfectly written equation. She turned slightly in her chair, curiosity getting the better of her usual desire to remain invisible. At a table about 10 feet away sat possibly the most handsome guy she had ever seen in real life. Dark hair that looked like he had run his fingers through it, warm brown eyes currently narrowed in frustration, and the kind of effortless style that screamed, "I woke up looking this good." He was staring at his laptop screen like it had personally offended him. Wow, Emma thought, her heart doing a little flutter. He is really attractive, like movie star attractive. But then she noticed what was on his screen. Calculus. And from what she could see, he was doing it completely wrong. "No, no, no," the guy muttered, running his hands through his hair in a way that somehow made it look even better. "This makes absolutely no sense." Emma bit her lip, torn between her natural instinct to help and her equally natural instinct to avoid drawing attention to herself. The math side of her brain was practically screaming at the mistakes she could see from here. "He is using completely the wrong approach," she observed silently. "And he is not even considering the chain rule. This is painful to watch." Another frustrated groan echoed through the quiet library, followed by what sounded suspiciously like the guy's head hitting the table. That did it. Emma's helpful nature won out over her social anxiety. She gathered her courage, closed her textbook with a soft thud, and approached his table with careful, quiet steps. Her heart was beating faster than usual, but she forced herself to speak. Excuse me?" Her voice came out softer than intended. "I could not help but notice you are working on calculus, and it looks like you might be having some trouble." The guy looked up, and Emma felt her breath catch gently. Up close, he was even more gorgeous. But there was something in his expression. Surprise, maybe? And was that a hint of skepticism? "Oh," he said, his tone polite but slightly dismissive. "Thanks, but I think I have got it handled." Emma blinked, taken aback by the brush-off. She glanced at his screen again, where the wrong approach was still glaring back at her. "Are you sure? Because you are trying to use the power rule where you actually need the chain rule, and you are not taking the derivative of the inside function properly." "Look," he interrupted, and there was definitely a note of irritation in his voice now. "I appreciate the offer, but I do not really need help from—" He paused, his eyes taking in her oversized cardigan, her stack of well-worn textbooks, her slightly ink-stained fingers. "I mean, No offense, but calculus is pretty advanced stuff. Emma felt heat rise in her cheeks, but it was not the good kind of warmth she had felt when looking at him. This was the burning sensation of embarrassment mixed with indignation. Did he seriously just assume I do not know calculus? Advanced, she repeated, her voice gaining strength despite her racing pulse. You mean like finding the derivative of composite functions? Because that is literally what you are struggling with right now. His eyebrows shot up, clearly not expecting her to push back. I am not struggling, he said, a defensive edge creeping into his voice. I am just double-checking my work. Emma almost laughed. Almost. Instead, she crossed her arms and tilted her head slightly. Okay, so if I gave you a composite function right now, you would be able to find its derivative. There was a moment of silence. He stared at her, then at his screen, then back at her. That is not what I am working on, he said finally. No, but if you knew how to do what you are working on, you would be able to handle any composite function in about 3 seconds. Another pause. Emma could practically see the wheels turning in his head. Fine, he said, leaning back in his chair with what she was starting to recognize as practiced charm. Why do you not show me, since you are so confident? There was a challenge in his voice, like he expected her to back down, like he still did not quite believe she actually knew what she was talking about. Oh, you have no idea who you are dealing with, Emma thought, a small smile tugging at the corner of her mouth. She moved around to his side of the table, very aware of the warm scent of his cologne and the way her pulse quickened at their proximity. Focus, Emma. Okay, so when you have a function inside another function, you need the chain rule, she began, her confidence growing as she fell into familiar territory. Think of it like peeling an onion. You work from the outside layer to the inside layer. She reached for his pencil, their fingers brushing for just a moment. The contact sent a little spark up her arm, and she noticed he went very still. So for your problem here. She began working through it step by step, explaining the logic behind each move. You take the derivative of the outer function first, but you leave the inside function exactly as it is. Then you multiply that by the derivative of the inside function. She worked through the problem methodically, very aware of him watching her intently. When she finished, she set down the pencil and stepped back slightly. Does that make sense? It is like a mathematical chain reaction. Each step connects to the next. He was staring at the paper, then at her, then back at the paper. He shook his head slowly. How did you do that so fast? Practice, Emma said simply, though she was secretly pleased by his obvious surprise. I am a math major. This is kind of my thing. Oh, math major, he repeated, like he was testing out the words. Right. Of course you are. There was something different in his voice now. The dismissive tone was gone, replaced by what sounded almost like respect. I am Alex, by the way, he said, extending his hand with a smile that seemed more genuine than his earlier charm. Alex Chen. Emma, she replied, shaking his hand and trying to ignore the way her heart skipped when his fingers wrapped around hers. Emma Walsh. Emma Walsh, math genius, he said, and there was definitely a teasing note in his voice now, but it felt warm rather than mocking. I think I owe you an apology, and probably a coffee. Emma felt her cheeks warm again, but this time it was the good kind of heat. You do not have to. I want to, he said quickly, then seemed to catch himself. I mean, it is the least I can do. You just saved me from failing my next exam. She looked at him carefully, trying to read his expression. There was something almost vulnerable in his eyes now, like the confident facade had slipped just a little. Okay, she said softly. Coffee sounds nice? Alex's smile widened, and Emma felt her stomach do a pleasant little flip. Great. There is this place just off campus that makes amazing lattes. Are you free now or? Now is good, Emma heard herself say, even though she had 3 more problems to finish. Something about Alex Chen was making her want to step outside her carefully ordered world. As they gathered their things, Alex glanced at her notebook full of completed calculus problems. So, if you are this good at math, why were you sitting alone in the library on a Tuesday afternoon instead of, I do not know, tutoring people for ridiculous amounts of money? Emma laughed, surprised by the question. Who says I do not tutor? Do you? Sometimes. When people actually want help instead of assuming I do not know what I am talking about. Alex had the grace to look embarrassed. Yeah, about that. I really am sorry. I made a pretty unfair assumption. You did, Emma agreed, slinging her bag over her shoulder. But I suppose everyone deserves a second chance. Even arrogant business majors who cannot do basic calculus? Especially them, she said with a small smile. They are clearly the ones who need the most help. Alex laughed, a genuine sound that made Emma's chest feel warm and light. As they walked toward the library exit together, Emma could not help stealing glances at him. There was something magnetic about Alex Chen, something that made her want to know more despite her usual caution around new people. So, Alex said as they pushed through the heavy library doors into the crisp autumn air. Scale of 1 to 10, how badly was I butchering that calculus? Emma pretended to consider this seriously. Well, let us just say if calculus was a person, it would probably have pressed charges. Alex groaned dramatically. That bad, she confirmed, but she was smiling as she said it. They walked across campus together, the afternoon sun casting long shadows between the buildings. Emma found herself relaxing in a way she rarely did around new people. There was something about Alex that made conversation feel easy. Can I ask you something? Alex said as they approached the coffee shop. Sure. What made you come over to help me? I mean, you could have just ignored my obvious mathematical crisis. Emma thought about it for a moment. I guess I do not like seeing people struggle when I know I could help, even when those people are a little rude at first. A little rude. Alex held the coffee shop door open for her. Emma, I was completely out of line. You were trying to be nice, and I was... He shook his head. I was being a jerk. You were being defensive, Emma corrected gently as they got in line. There is a difference. Alex looked at her with an expression she could not quite read. You are very generous. Or very naive, Emma said with a self-deprecating smile. No, Alex said firmly. Generous. They ordered their drinks, a vanilla latte for Emma, black coffee for Alex, and found a cozy table by the window. The coffee shop had that perfect autumn atmosphere, all warm lighting and the gentle hum of quiet conversation. So, Emma said, wrapping her hands around her warm mug. Business major. Guilty as charged, Alex confirmed. My family owns a string of restaurants, so the plan is for me to eventually take over the business side of things. That sounds exciting. Alex shrugged. It is practical. What about you? What is the plan after you conquer the mathematical world? Emma laughed. I do not know about conquering anything. I am thinking maybe graduate school, then we will see. I love math, but I am not entirely sure what I want to do with it yet. You have time to figure it out, Alex said gently. They fell into comfortable conversation, and Emma found herself genuinely enjoying his company. Alex was funny and smart, and when he was not being defensive about his calculus skills, he was actually incredibly charming. But there was something else, too. Moments where his smile seemed just a little too practiced, where she caught glimpses of something more guarded behind his easy manner. He is used to performing, she realized with sudden insight. This charm thing, it is like a shield. Emma? Alex's voice pulled her from her thoughts. Sorry, what? I asked if you would be willing to tutor me. In calculus, I mean. I clearly need more help than I thought. Emma felt a flutter of excitement mixed with nervousness. More time with Alex Chen? The idea was both thrilling and terrifying. Yes, I could do that. When were you thinking? Would tomorrow work? I have this exam coming up, and after today's demonstration of my complete mathematical incompetence. You are not incompetent, Emma said automatically. You just need some practice with the fundamentals. Alex's smile was softer this time, less performative. See? This is why I need you as my tutor. You actually believe I can get better at this. I believe you can do anything, Emma thought, then immediately felt her cheeks warm at the unexpected intensity of the thought. Everyone can get better at math, she said instead. It just takes patience and practice. And a really good teacher, Alex added, his eyes meeting hers across the table. Emma felt her pulse quicken under his gaze. There was something different in his expression now. Something that made her suddenly very aware of how close they were sitting, how the afternoon light was catching the gold flecks in his brown eyes. I should probably warn you, Alex said, his voice dropping slightly. I am not the easiest student. I tend to get frustrated when things do not come naturally. I can handle frustrated, Emma said, surprised by her own boldness. Can you? There was something almost intense in the way he asked it. Before Emma could respond, Alex's phone buzzed loudly on the table. He glanced at it, and his entire demeanor shifted. The easy warmth disappeared, replaced by something that looked almost like panic. Everything okay? Emma asked, concerned by the sudden change. Alex stared at his phone screen, his jaw tightening. It is family stuff. Emma waited, sensing there was more to the story. Alex looked up at her, and there was something almost desperate in his eyes now. Emma, can I ask you something? And I need you to hear me out before you say no. Okay, Emma said slowly, suddenly nervous about where this was going. Alex took a deep breath, running his hand through his hair again. How would you feel about pretending to be my girlfriend? Emma blinked, certain she had misheard. I am sorry. What? I know how it sounds, Alex said quickly, but I can explain. My grandmother, she has been on this mission to set me up with every single girl she knows. And now she is coming to visit next week, and she is bringing her friend's granddaughter, who she is convinced is my perfect match, and I... He trailed off, looking genuinely distressed. Alex, Emma said carefully, I am not sure I understand what you are asking. I need a fake girlfriend, he said in a rush. Just for one family dinner, just to get my grandmother to back off long enough for me to breathe. Emma stared at him, her mind reeling. You want me to lie to your family? Not lie, exactly. More like temporary performance art. Despite everything, Emma felt a laugh bubble up. Performance art? Alex had the grace to look embarrassed. Okay, that sounded better in my head. Emma studied his face, trying to process what he was asking. Why me? I mean, you barely know me, and I am probably not the most convincing fake girlfriend material. Are you kidding? Alex said, and there was something fervent in his voice. Emma, you are perfect. You are smart. You are beautiful. You are genuine. My grandmother would love you. Emma felt her heart skip at the casual way he had called her beautiful, but she tried to stay focused. I do not know, Alex. This seems pretty complicated. I know it is a lot to ask, he said, leaning forward slightly. But I am kind of desperate here. And I would pay you, obviously, for the tutoring and the girlfriend services. Emma raised an eyebrow. Girlfriend services? Alex's cheeks actually reddened. That came out wrong. I meant the acting. The pretending. Emma found herself oddly charmed by his embarrassment. How desperate are we talking here? Scale of 1 to 10, about a 15. Emma bit her lip, considering. It was crazy. It was complicated. It was exactly the kind of messy social situation she usually avoided at all costs. But something about the way Alex was looking at her, something vulnerable and almost lost beneath his usual confidence, made her want to help. "One dinner?" she asked. "One dinner," he confirmed eagerly. "And you really think I can pull off being your girlfriend?" Alex's expression softened. "Emma, I think you could pull off anything you set your mind to." Emma felt her resolve weakening under his earnest gaze. "I must be crazy." "Is that a yes?" Before she could second-guess herself further, Emma nodded. "Okay, yes, I will do it." Alex's face lit up with genuine relief and gratitude. "Really? Emma, you have no idea how much this means to me." "I just hope you know what you are getting into," Emma said, though she was smiling despite herself. "I am not exactly experienced in the fake girlfriend department." "Trust me," Alex said, reaching across the table to squeeze her hand gently. "You are going to be amazing." The contact sent warmth shooting up Emma's arm, and she found herself wondering what she had just gotten herself into. But looking at Alex's grateful smile, she could not bring herself to regret her decision. What is the worst that could happen? She thought. Emma just agreed to be Alex's fake girlfriend to help him avoid his grandmother's matchmaking. But what happens when fake feelings start becoming dangerously real? Don't miss the next episode.